welcome to The Dog Geek. My name's Ashley, and I am your podcast host. I have to say this is pretty funny what's in front of me. So I was so excited to start talking on a podcast to just get out things that are in my head that I want to talk about and share with people. And I ordered, it's called a pop filter. So I ordered it online and it'll be here tomorrow. But I have a very busy day tomorrow and I would not be able to talk. So I actually made my own pop filter. So I took like a coffee filter and cut out a paper plate and clipped it to the paper plate with a hole in the middle and attached it to another thing. So the point of the pop filter is to make the audio clearer so that there's not a lot of like static happening as I'm talking into the microphone. But I know I'm not going to get a chance to do this tomorrow, not Saturday. So I was like, I really want to do it today. So how do I make this like cheap, easy, what do I have at home pop filter so I can talk? So this is actually a pretty funny picture of a pop filter. But hopefully it's working. Hopefully the audio isn't awful. Eventually I would like to get a stand, something to hold a microphone, and then I'll have the pop filter on that. So it's easier to talk, it's easier to record, those sorts of things. But, of course, those things cost money. So we're gonna wait and see how well this sucker goes, and and if I can eventually grab a good mic, then I would really like to do that. So, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. So I think today I just want to talk about different types of training, different training methods, some concerns I have with some of them, and which ones I prefer to use. So there are a variety of different ways to train dogs to do things or not to do things. So I think in the overall look at training, I prefer to teach dogs the correct things I want them to do. Where other training focuses on correcting unwanted behavior. So we have a dog that pulls, and some training likes to yank on the leash to correct the pulling behavior. So it's a punishment type of training, and punishment meaning that you want a behavior to stop. Okay, so we want the pulling behavior to stop, so they're adding a painful, disruptive, uncomfortable process of yanking a collar, the chain, whatever that is, and then telling the dog, that's supposed to tell the dog not to pull. Whereas for me with pulling, I want to encourage my dog. I want to show them that staying close to me with a loose leash is going to be more rewarding for them than pulling on the leash to get to where they want to go. So if my dog pulls, they don't move forward. They don't move to what they wanted to get to, because that would be rewarding. So what do I do? I am rewarding my dog for staying close to me. This is also creating a better relationship between me and my dog because I am giving them the reward of a loose leash, a reward of staying with me, whether that's food, toys, praise with your voice or with touch. And I prefer to train that way. So I don't want my dog to do one thing, so I'm going to teach it what I want it to do. So, and I do have my dogs in here with me, so if you hear barking or anything's going on, it's just them. So let's talk about a little bit about that. So some trainers will say that they don't use treats. They don't use a food reward to train, which I believe is not a happy way to train. We expect a lot of our dogs. We expect them to be a certain way, but dogs are just they're dogs. They're creatures with their own minds and their own thoughts and feelings about things. So because we find something to be not a good thing, okay? Maybe chewing on your table leg, right? Especially if you have a puppy, that we would consider to be not a good thing, right? We don't want my dog to have that behavior. But for your dog, it feels good. It's satisfying to them to chew on that table leg, which is why they're doing it. They're not doing it to ruin your expensive things. They're not doing it to show you that it belongs to them, right? They are very almost simple in emotional states. Like, this feels good to me, so I'm going to do it. This doesn't feel good, I won't do it. This is rewarding, I'm going to do it. This is not rewarding, I'm not going to do it. So, I got a little bit lost. So I would prefer, this idea of not giving your dog treats, a no treat training, makes me a little bit concerned. So the reason that I like to use food, okay, as a reward is because it is a very big motivator for your dog. Your dog needs motivation to do things. Right? Because is it going to be more satisfying for me to, run away from you, or more satisfying to come to you? So if you want your dog to come in from the backyard and you're yelling at them to get over here, there's a good chance that either your dog won't come over, or they are going to come over in a very fearful way because you are incredibly scary. There is an uncertainty of what's going to happen when they get to you, and they don't want to approach you, okay? So I would rather have my dog learn that, coming to me is going to be beneficial for you because you're going to get something for it, right? Again, it doesn't have to be food, but in this case, I was talking about food. I consider food to be your dog's pay. We go to work, we learn, we do things to get paid for them, right? I wouldn't go to work necessarily if I didn't get paid. So for your dogs, we're asking our dogs to work, and you're going to pay them, right? We pay with food because it's a primary resource for your dog. It's top of their list for survival. So we use that food because it's a great motivator. Some dogs are more motivated by toys. I find that to be a little bit far between, but if they're more motivated by toys and play, then you would use the toy. So there's those things. When we talk about training behaviors with, this is a big one, is the what kind of collars we train on. So there's a regular flat plain collar. All right, that holds like your dog's ID tags, those sorts of things. Then there's choke collars or prong collars or electric shock collars. So when I run through this list of the choke collars, okay, so those are the ones that you loop one end through the other and then it tightens as you pull it. All right, so that's that one. And that one will continue to tighten as small as possible. The other one, the prong collar, has those spikes on the inside. Some are all the way completely around the collar. Some are only like maybe part way. And then there's the electric shock, which is, there's two prongs that need to be touching the skin. And then those, when we hit the button for it, will give a shock stimulus to the neck. So when I discuss those training tools, which is also a bit of a training method, right? It's a correction method of my dog's doing something unwanted. I'm going to correct it. I'm going to say no to them with these tools. It's going to be uncomfortable, painful, and it's going to make them not want to do it anymore. Right? So, right, people are pretty comfortable. Usually they'll go, oh, well, the choke collar is not so bad. Oh, the prong collar, not so bad, but I would never use a shock collar, right? Or an e-collar, electric collar. Oh, I would never do that. And I understand that we hear electric shock and we think, something insanely bad. However, I group them all pretty much in the same category. So all of them for me cause fear in our dogs, pain, discomfort, but not in a pleasant way. I mean, this is around your dog's neck, all right? It's a very sensitive area around the neck. So I would never recommend for anyone, for any reason, to train with those tools. For me, again, too, we'll get like, oh, my dog was so fearful or anxious, and the only thing that would work was at the end of the day, we went to a shock collar. So for me, again, I don't think a negative, like a dog being very fearful, plus a negative, okay, like a shock collar, an e-collar, I don't think those two things make a positive. I don't think you get a good outcome out of correcting a fear response, because it doesn't change why your dog is fearful, right? It's an emotional response to something. So if I was afraid of spiders, and when I would show fear for the spider, someone would smack me on the hand, which is, by the way, like nothing compared to these other tools, right? But someone smacks me on the hand if I show fear. I am still fearful of the spider. That fear didn't change. So next time that, we pass a spider and I'm fearful, maybe I don't show it as much, because I'm fearful that I'm going to get hit at the same time. So now we're trigger stacking, possibly, right? I have a fear of the spider that we're passing, and I have a fear of getting hit if I show fear. Like, none of this computes and makes a positive outcome, right? So this is what's going on with your dog, right? Oh, my dog sees another dog. I snap the prong collar. I put pressure and I snap a prong collar, which is supposed to correct my dog and show them that's not an okay behavior. But get back. But your dog is my dogs are, like I said, they're around me. One's eating here. But again, we've got a dog maybe, telephone. All right. Let me add a flag. Boop. All right. So we've got, a dog is maybe reacting to another dog. We put pressure on that that collar to correct it. So it's like a snap of the collar to correct that response. But now again, the dog, it didn't change the emotional response. It didn't change how the dog feels about the other dog. They are still concerned about the other dog. They might still be nervous. They might still be unsure. We have a dog here that might not be as confident around other dogs. And now we basically corrected them, showing you that they're fearful because they don't want to get another correction. So they're basically trying to hide these responses, these emotional responses. What is concerning is that we're not addressing the underlying problem with those tools. The underlying problem is I'm fearful of this thing, or I don't know how to walk on a leash and I don't want to get maybe yanked, I don't want to get shocked or whatever. In fear responses, how do I make my dog less fearful? And that's building your dog's confidence. You're not going to build your dog's confidence if you are applying harsh, aversive tools. So I hope this is making sense. So we get like all back down to an emotional state or learning, right? So I want my dog to learn, 1, that I am not something to be feared. 2, they can trust me and be comfortable with me. And 3, that during a training session, I'm going to help my dog. I'm going to guide them to being a confident, emotionally stable dog. And I'm going to use things that my dog finds enjoyable. All right. It makes our experience together that much better. It makes your dog's experience in your house, outside your house, all that so much better. And stress is a killer for dogs as well as it is for people. So the more stress that is put upon your dog, that's negative stress, is going to hurt them in a health standpoint as well. Okay, so let me see now. Where am I going with any of this? So I want to work on changing how my dog feels about certain situations, right? Now, in talking about correcting behavior, right? A lot of times people say, oh, my dog growled at the other dog. So I, maybe yelled at Buddy for growling. No, Buddy, no growling, no, whatever. Some people say no talk. Maybe they hold the muzzle closed, things like that. The problem with that type of correction is your dog's growling is a way of communicating with other dogs, with people, telling them that they're uncomfortable and back up, right? Give me space. So dogs are showing, and I'll get into hopefully a whole nother podcast on body language, because our dogs show a lot of body language, and it can change moment to moment, right? So one moment we could be perfectly fine, the next moment your dog's a little nervous, the next they're stressed, and then they're kind of okay again. So they're constantly communicating with other dogs and with us and telling us we're uncomfortable. So there aren't bites that come out of nowhere, right? Your dogs are showing lots of signs before that bite, whether it's their ears, their eyes, their mouth, their tail, their back, if their back is rounded, not rounded, one paw lifted up, yawning, lip licking. I mean, there's so many signs. So if we yell at them when they show us these signs, these body language signs, and we try to correct that, right? No growling, no, don't back up, don't hesitate, don't do these things. You're not correcting how your dog's emotionally feeling, but you're telling them that they can't growl. So if you're telling them they can't growl, they have a fear of growling, because they know that there's going to be a bad consequence to that. They're going to get in trouble if they growl because you've yelled at them for it, or whatever you've done for that growl. So what happens is, instead of growling, they suppress that emotional expression, and they'll skip to a bite. Okay, but before they skip to the bite, even before the growl, there were multiple signs that your dogs were uncomfortable. Okay, so again, it's more about learning your dog's body language, learning about how they're emotionally feeling about something, and then how do I make my dog feel better about it? So that's what I like to do with training is, why is my dog feeling this way? And how do I change it and make it better? If my dog feels better about something, then they're going to behave better about it. Okay? Oh my goodness. So I think, I don't know where we are. We're about at a 17 minutes. So I might wrap it up here. And we'll say maybe, you know what I want to say? Maybe the last part to the training I do want to talk about, because I do like to use things that are going to motivate my dog a lot during their life in our house, things like that. So keep in mind, if you bring your dog out to, sometimes I bring my pup out to pick up my daughter from school, and I am now competing with other things in the environment that are more interesting than myself. Okay, so bringing my dog out to my daughter's school, there are other kids, there's other people, the noises get louder, there's the outside environment in general, right? So the smells, the sounds of outside. So if I bring his kibble, that is not good enough, okay? Your little bits of kibble cannot compete with all that other stimulus going on. So if you are going to bring your dog out somewhere and you want to work with them and you want them to be motivated, you have to think about what you're competing with in that environment. So I would need to bring something more valuable to him than just his kibble. I prefer real meat treats. I don't like to give milk bones for my pups. You certainly can. There's just no nutritional benefit to some of those treats. So I prefer to do only real meat, but it's freeze-dried stuff. So I'll do freeze-dried liver, beef heart, chicken, those sorts of things. So I'll bring those with me, and then he's more motivated to stay with me, to focus on me. If I need to get his attention, I can reward him for the loose leash and not pulling to try to get somewhere or get to someone. And then I'm also judging my distance between things. So I do get a lot of, how do I have my dog behave better when we're out and about and there's other dogs or other people? Well, there is going to be a threshold point for your dog where they're going to be okay. They'll be able to focus. They'll be able to learn. They'll be able to work with you. And then there's going to be a threshold line where they can't control themselves anymore. Okay, and that could be in either a fearful response way or a joyful way, or vice versa. It can be any range of emotions, right? But there's going to be a threshold point where they get so close to something that everything goes out the window, right? They don't hear you when you're talking to them. It's like they're zoned in on whatever is in front of them. So we also have to, when you bring your dog out, you have to work in this threshold that your dog can manage. And as they get better and learn in their window of tolerance, you could say, okay, window of tolerance, when they're learning there, you can decrease your distance to something slowly, but your dog always needs to maintain a thinking brain. All right, so a window of tolerance where they can think and learn and focus. If you pass that threshold, forget it. Your dog isn't going to be learning. They're just going to be making a lot of mistakes. It's going to be frustrating. And this is when we get, it becomes difficult. So that's another thing to, oh my goodness. Oh boy. Everybody's fine, I promise. That's another thing to keep in mind when we're talking about training and things like that. I said last thing, but I'm going to talk about one more thing. Is going to be our dogs are always reading our body language. I think the learning about your dog's body language and how they're reading our body language. Oh my goodness. I think is one of the most important and least learned training skills of dog owners, myself included. So, I've learned a lot of different things, but I am just now really getting into my dog's body language signals, like really deep diving. I know the basics, right? I know in general, but looking at a video of dogs playing and being able to pick out all of these different signals, like I said, from the ear position to the mouth, to the tongue, to the eyes, to the tail, to the body posture, to even one paw lift, to a yawn, to blinking, to turning the head away, to approaching with the side body or the rear end, not forward. So many things. The play bow is not created equal, all right? Just because your dog play bows doesn't necessarily mean it's a fun play bow, okay? Just because your dog shows you their belly doesn't mean that they want to be rubbed there. Not all belly up postures are created equal, and it's amazing how much we can learn about our dogs just by watching their body language, and how we can prevent so many negative experiences if we knew how to read their body language, and if we gave our dog the space they needed to be comfortable and not ignore these signs. Our dogs, not surprisingly, but amazingly to me, our dogs learn our body language incredibly easy, incredibly well. They can tell when you tense, they can tell when you're relaxed, they can tell a lot of our gestures, because we make a lot of gestures. Your dogs will pick up all of those gestures and cues, your facial expressions, right? Your dog's going to learn, and they pick up on all of these things, your body language, and they use that to determine your mood or what they need to do next, right? Am I being asked to sit or stay? Are they going to be in an angry state? Are we moving? Are we standing still? They pick up on so many of these things, and yet we don't pick up on their body language or respect their body language, right? We go, oh, they're afraid. They got to get over it. They're being such babies. That's not the case, right? Yes, they're afraid, but they're not being a baby. They're not choosing to look weak or choosing to be a childlike and a baby and that kind of thing. they're genuinely afraid of something, and that's a shame. And how can we make them feel better about it and more confident, right? So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope that you got some great information from this podcast, and I hope I explained things okay for you. I'm really excited to talk about this stuff. If, like I said, I don't know if you have questions on something, or if you want me to dive deeper into any topics, please feel free to ask. I think you can comment on there on Spotify. If you can't, then I'm sorry, but I hope you could. And let me know how you feel about these things, because a lot of these topics and things I'm going to talk about are really hot topics, meaning that there's a very wide range of opinions, and I am open to listening to other people's opinions on why they think it's certain things are okay or not okay. At the end of the day, I choose to do what I feel is in the best interest of the dog or the pet I'm working with. And so I just hope that this can open up other people's minds to other sides of training if you disagree with me, because I think it's really important in every aspect of life that we're open to all the different opinions, and then from all the information make our choice, as opposed to being dead strong and firm on one thing and not opening and leaving room for, oh my goodness, I've got a puppy under my feet who's whining. Getting all the information and making a choice, and continuing to learn and evolve that choice, instead of, picking one way and being dead set in it and not being open to listening and discussing and talking about other choices or options. And that's how I think we should be in everything, right? So, all right, well, thanks for listening. I think these podcasts will end up being somewhere around a half an hour, because I don't know if I could talk more than that. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover, you want me to talk about. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I look forward to speaking with you again.